Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Simon, Mohari, Matthew, Sivan, Justin. I have started recording. Can you see that? If you're in. Thank you very much. My apologies if my voice is not cooperating. So I feel a little bit under the weather. So thank you for putting up with my health condition today. The thing is, I have provided a package for you guys. Would you please confirm receiving that? And I'm going to share several times during the session for those who come sooner. Would you please just download that and unzip it? Whenever you are done with that, please type 1. Listening, thank you. Joel, thank you. Henri, and you, Justin, thank you very much. I'm going to just close my camera. Samuel, thank you. Tej, merci. Okay. So today's session is a little bit different. And the good thing is we bring a Python into another level, trying to connect a simple data set to our Python environment. And one of the easiest relational database management systems that you can find ever is SQLite or SQLite. That's what I pronounce it. That is one of the SQL simple environments. It takes just a few seconds to install it. I just share the link for you. So this is the link. You already have it in the note part. But would you please? Okay. Okay. Would you please go to that? And I think that is the safest to install 64. But if your Windows is kind of old version of Windows 10, so maybe you might need to download 32. So download that, please. And then you simply get to this setting. I share the add class code with you guys, and then would you please just share it with the other friends later, those who join us later. Okay, so after that, you can just click next several times, and then make sure that you have a desktop version as well as the program menu. And simply, you're going to have SQLite after just a few seconds. Sync finish. So I wait for a couple of seconds. Whenever you could finish that, please type 2. Thank you, Matthew. Andre, Shivan. Thank you very much. Arya, see. Thank you, Evan. Ellen. Okay. Very simple. If you click on it, it's going to show you something similar to this environment, right? It's going to be something like this. Again, for those friends who joined us later, once again, I share the files zip file that I have. One more thing. This is the link that I said you have to use to download it, but there are some steps that you might feel that I left behind due to the number of people that we have in a group. Please feel free to watch the recorded session later and just do the steps, and then don't worry if you cannot create the database alongside with the others. I have already provided final product. Samuel, today's agenda is working with SQLite, so we work with that today, right? If it is a project or something, definitely you're 100%. For me, I'm SQL environment agnostic, so if you can use Access, Oracle, MS SQL, MySQL, they're all fine with me in any project that we will have in future together. Okay, so after that, after you install this, let's just open the environment. And I have provided all the, okay, here, if you can see that, please click on this new database. And I intentionally make it a little bit different. So you see, finally, we are going to work with Movies DB, but there is a chance that we cannot use it. We cannot, I'm sorry, make it correctly. So not a bad idea to use that. So the best, okay. Let's create something like my movies DB. And I say that save, so I have that, and it's going to ask you the name of tables. So just make your database. If you see that I've created one, which is called my movies database, DB. And
calling the database My Movies, is that correct? I said, are we calling it My Movies?
If it is possible, just write your question. You can call it My Movies Database or My Movies DB, and I'm going to just share that finally with you. So feel free to name it whatever you like now. My apologies, I'm going to mute my, I'm going to turn off my speaker not to be received. So if you see that I do not answer any voice, the reason for that is I already closed my speaker. Okay, so please just type your questions if you have it. The next part is going to be creating everything from the scratch together. I've already provided that this is the second database. And this database contains the definition of SQLite. And this is the part that we clicked on and we set that new database, I said, let's just call it, as you can see in here, I said movies DB, you can say my movies DB or any name, right? And then we try to create different tables. For the first one, I'm going to, as you see, create movie table. And then here I'm going to say add. And the first field, if you see, is going to be this part. I'm going to say, for instance, movie ID, and that would be integer. And then I'm going to say add. Look at this one, it's going to add another one. And I'm going to say category. This ID, and that would be integer as well. But the next one is going to be add. So, apologies, it should be category ID, and then it should be name, and name should be text. But look at this one here. It says and year. I'm going to say add year. I'm sorry, year. And year is integer as well. And I'm going to have another field number 5, which is minutes. This is not my to-go database environment, but it's fun. It's very easy to work with. So that's why it takes a couple of seconds for you to look. Here I say I don't accept any null values for any of them. If you just simply click on those, there will be no null values accepted. And imagine that for this one, I'm going to say PK is my primary key, right? And definitely it should be unique as well, right? Whenever you define something as a primary key, it's also, you see here, it says that not null constraint, and we have a unique value, and it is a primary key, okay? So by saying that, if you just say, okay, it's going to create something for you, which is going to be movie table, and it has all those things. Everybody, if you're done with this part and you could see the table, please type 1. Excellent. Those who cannot, don't worry. Just stand back, relax, watch what I'm doing. Watch the recorded session. Okay, guys, don't worry at all. Those who receive error, just stand back, relax. Because these are the things that you're going to work with in the coming lab. So any problem here is more about learning the steps. How to implement them actually would happen in the lab. It's a kind of value-added thing if you can do it alongside with me, but it's not mandatory. Does that make sense? So don't have any stress. Okay, so let's go to the next part. And in the next part, you see here we have movie. And if we expand this, let me just show you using the laser pointer. If you click on this part, it's going to show you the fields that you have defined in the movie. Remember, the intention of today's session is not learning databases. It really deserves to have several courses, not only just one. And we need to define another table. So we click on create table again. And then let's this time do it faster. So here I create the table. This time I'm going to call it category. So category. 3. And then I'm going to say, let's add a field here. It's category ID, category ID. And this guy is going to be integer and not all. And the next thing that we are going to have is going to be the name of those categories. So it's going to be text. Make sure that you check text. You're not going to allow it to be null. So that's the constraints that you define. And after doing that, we just simply say, okay, so now I have 2 different tables. So if you can just see something similar to this, and if you expand, you can just see all those things. If that is the case for you, please type 3. Yeah, we defined that, and that is why. That was a good question that Reza, why we created category ID here as a foreign key. We should make category table first and doing that. Okay, I hear you. And that is why we are gonna do something now. And that would be, let's just go to this part. That would be removing the table moving. How about that? Guys, this is just a practice. I intentionally had all those things. So everybody go to, look at this. That execute SQL, right? If you click on this part, it's going to be something like this. So simply say drop table and say moving, and then don't forget to have semicolon, and then say run it once. Make sure that you run it once, guys. If you do it again, it says that, hey, come on, you already have deleted. I don't have any other table. You see that if you get back to tables structure, we don't have any sign of table. So that is the command that you have to type, right? To ease the job, if that is the case, drop table moving, and then click there to see it. And again, those people who receive error, don't worry at all. I'm gonna give you the final product at the end before we use it in Python, and that's the whole intention of today's session. Imagine that you have already one database and you want to work with it. Those who could delete, drop the table correctly, please type 5. Thank you very much, everyone. Excellent. Merci. So let's go to the next part together, and that is creating the table once again. But for this one, look at here. In the slides that I have shared with you, slide number 15 in the second PowerPoint, you already have this command. So simply, I share that with you also. So bring that into the into this part, and then say run. Look what's going to happen. Ta-da! In the execute SQL, I copied and paste, and look at the question that I received a few seconds ago. That was how about foreign key? Look at this one. Here, exactly the same as what we had before. We defined all those fields with 2 constraints. One, we already had it, that primary key, right? But the second one is we say foreign key, consider this category ID as a foreign key. And then we set that very simple. Do you see in the execute SQL part, click it here, click here. And if you left behind, don't worry, just follow, just watch and rewatch the recorded session. Okay, here you just, yeah. just copy and paste it here and then say run, guys. Yes, copy and paste and then say run. Oopsie. One second. Let me see if I have run two. Oh, I have run that 2 times, so I already have it. Sorry, I ran that. I told you if you run it once, it's going to give you error, right? Okay. So now I created that. Just give me a second. Control Z, Control Z. If I remove the table here and I don't have any sign off movie, I just need to paste the code that I have already sent to you and run it once. It says that without any error, I could create movie again with these 2 constraints, foreign key and primary key. And if I get back here, I see that yes, I have table created over there. Guys, I don't expect that everybody could get the successful result, but if you got it, please type 1. Thank you very much. And now it's time. Everybody, please make sure that you open the slide because it is not easy to copy and paste every time. Open the slide, the PowerPoint slide number 14. This is the first row that I'm gonna insert into category. So let's get back to here. Make sure that you are going to get into execute SQL again. You're gonna just say insert into category ID name, and then you're gonna say run. Successful, it is going to add it. Make sure that you do not add it 2 times. And then go to the browse data, and you see here in the category, I have just 1 row, but in the movies, I have nothing yet. Let's get back to category. Get back to execute SQL. Let's go to the next. And then copy and paste the content in slide number 15. Okay. And then, Matthew, just download this too. It's easier for you because we have lots of things. If I want to get back, you can just easily copy and paste it for you, right? You have the slides, you have the content. And if it is hard for now, just watch it. Look at this one. You run this, and it's going to say okay, let's get back to browse data. You see that we have all these things, guys. Can you see all the data the way that I have entered? If you get the same result, please type 3 this time. Lovely, thank you. Patty, Simon, Amanda, Matthew. Okay, great. You might say, how about if I want to add something by myself here? So very simple. For instance, what do we call it? Let's say just something, right? So now I have this one as well here, and you can simply say, what is it? Select star from category, if I'm not mistaken, in spelling. So it's going to tell you like 1, 2, 3, 4. Huh? That's very easy environment for everybody to work with. Let's go to slide. Yeah, that's slide number 16 that we have already talked to see the things that we have. And slide number 17, we are going to add everything at once. Look, Control C, I copy everything from here. I bring it to the execute SQL here. Let's delete what we have. Control V to paste. And then say, look, if I get back to browse data this time, look, I finished this. I click on browse data. And now if I just say, go to movies, I have all those records. Does that make sense? So take your time, spend a few seconds, and if you're done with that and everything works fine, give me the second high five, please. High five. Merci. Help me. Excellent. Let's just wait for a couple of seconds for our friends to make sure everybody is fine. Don't worry, Matthew, the class is recorded, and in the lab, you are going to work on these things again. Okay? And if you have any concern or question, it's going to be one-on-one with your lab professor, Mazia. He's kind enough to spend time to work on every single of these things individually. Okay, so guys, let's go to the next part together, and then that would be select from movie. Look at this one here. I see that we have several movies, but 1, 2, 3 of them, the category ID for them are equal to 2. Let's just copy and paste this. You could simply replace saying that select the star from movie only the rows that the category ID is equal to 2. So let's see. You see they are these 3. What if I say 3? It's going to show you the rest of those 3 things. What if I say 4? I have 4, but I didn't apply any. There will be nothing. So that's why it says that. Result is 0 rows. Returns in. Does that make sense? If you say 1, we have some animation, right? Genre animation. Okay, and after that, what if I say, show me the movies that their minutes is less than 90, and order it based on the minutes, means from small to large. So I copy and paste. So somebody help me for the error that I'm going to get here, and tell me what should I do to get the correct answer. Not now. First, let's see. Yes, 81, 81, and 82. Okay. But if I don't say order by minutes, ASC ascending, it's going to show me the same result. But what if I want to change into, guys, what is the problem of this? If I say show it in descending order, oh, it shows the correctness, but hopefully you didn't see that. So it gives me error. What should I do? Yeah, many of you already answered correctly. We just need to have descending, and then it works correctly in descending order from big to small. Does that make sense? Okay, awesome. And you can have comma and say, for instance, if there are two equal values here, then the second priority would be name, ascending or descending. You're going to try them in no time, pretty soon. How about this one? Yeah, so everybody, please try this part. Slide number 19, and see what is happening over there. In the previous attempt, we had the names, or in here, we had movies and the category ID. But to know that what is category ID actually, we needed to go to the other table to understand. What if we want to have category name instead of that? This is a solution. We need to link those two tables. We join them. We say select movie name, select category name as category name, and minutes from movie join to category based on what? Based on category ID in movie equal to movie that category ID. Does it make sense? Hmm? Excellent. So let's see what is going to happen. You see here, if I run the code, this time it's going to show me the name of the movie, the category name, and the minutes. If you get the same result, then please type 1. Okay. So let's, okay, don't worry. I'm going to give you the code later, the whole pack. Okay, everybody, now try to insert, we say that's name, year, minute, and category ID. Whenever you are not designed everything in the same order of the table, you need to say the names of the fields in the movie and the values here, right? Look, what is actually going to happen would be insert into names. I want to have your feedback for a few seconds. Okay, let's just have your, okay. I'm gonna insert that, and it successfully adds into the table. You can simply see if there is any Juno by saying that select star from what? Movie, right? And then just run it. And you see that the Juno that we had added just a few seconds ago is already added there. Right? Okay. Then the next thing that we are going to try is saying, let me know what is happening in here. I do not mention anything like this one. The first one is movie ID, the second one is category ID, and so on and so forth. So automatically, this is going to be the movie ID. This is going to be the category ID. This is going to be the name for this, and this is going to be the year, and this is going to be the minutes. And if we run that, nothing is gonna, no error happens here. If you run it again, it's gonna tell you, hey, we already have that primary key in the table, so we cannot just simply go to browse data and see that we have second June again, but with a new ID. And I want you first to check, let me just check it here. For the ID number 4, please type for me, what is the minute that you see at your end? For me, it is 81 now. No, now, I mean, before updating. Before updating, what is the value here? It is 81. And if I run that for movie ID equal to 4, update it to 84, let's see what's going to happen if I get back there. Then it is going to change it to 84. I'm going to change it to, I don't know, something crazy like 999, just to show you. And if I say browse the data, you see that it's going to change, right? And simply you can check it by typing show me the value for movie, what the movie ID is for, and it shows that 999 kind of thing, right? If everybody got that correctly, please type 5. Okay, and those who didn't get the correct answer, don't worry, just write your error somewhere, Maziar, to help you to work on this. Yes. Imagine that here we have, at the moment, we have 90 people. I need to ask you to open your screen. Then I need to go through all the code, opening the screen, closing the screen. It's going to take something like 5 minutes. And imagine that if I have just 10 errors in the session, the whole session should be for just resolving the lab kind of thing. So let's go to the next part, and still we are not started the major part of the class. Okay, so let's go to this. And it is going to be delete from the movie where the movie ID is equal to 15. So everybody, simply please look at this part. We say delete from movie where movie ID is equal to 14. And look at this one before I execute that. I have a record, right? I have one row, a record that the movie ID is 14. When I run this and I get back to this, I don't have any sign of record ID equal to 14, right? So whenever you are done with that part, this time, please type 1. Thank you very much. And the next part that you're going to have would be just deleting this time, saying, look at the year column. So we have 1979 here. Do we have any other 1979? Let me just delete something that we have two similar records. If we have, do we have 2002? Yes, we have 2002, which would be this and this. I mean, movie ID 1 and movie ID 4. They are both 2002. Do we have any other 2002? No. First, let's just delete this one. I go to the execute and then say delete that. And if I get back, I would see no sign of 1979. What if you see that we don't have any 1979? What if I say 2002? And if I run that, we are gonna delete ID number 1 and ID number 4. You see that no sign of ID number 1, no sign of ID number 4. And yeah, this is something that you could see, but as I promised, those who left behind and got error, that is very normal. We all might make mistakes. So this is movie DB, and I'm gonna bring that to you here. So we are gonna work with this database. This is totally, this is complete version of the database that we already worked on. And everyone, please, this is, give me a second, please. So let's have Colab. And please go to the upload part and you have already the package, but I send it again to you. So you have that file, right? Please download it, and you have the movie. I simply just need to drag and drop this into the browse part and into the upload part, and it's going to show you. This one. And please click on, this is just to ease the job. Click on the folder part. And then drag and drop the movie DB here. Okay. Okay. And forget about the warning that it is going to give you. Now guys, if you see something similar to this, means having a movies DB on the left side and that beautiful database anime. So please type 2 if that's the combination that you see on your screen. Okay. Those who, okay, if the question is relevant to the topics that we have covered till this moment, for sure, please type it. There is no password for the DB. The database doesn't have any password. Okay, just stay tuned. Wait. I don't know why you received that. I didn't set any password. And just to let you know, I open the database based on the things that I have already created for you. It's quite a change. You see that without any problem, I had that movie database. It didn't ask me any password or something. It shows everything. So just wait for a few seconds, see what's going to happen. Okay, everybody. I have provided some videos. Some of them are very much useful. And if you have time at your convenience, please watch the videos. But we have already gone through many of them. I have explained to use what is the intention of this and this part now. The whole idea is all the time we have just give me a second. So all the time we have a simple database somewhere, and we have our application. This is something like in almost all the scenarios we have something which we mostly use with a barrel kind of sign, right? Which is going to be our database. And we have our application that contains some text boxes. They could have table and so on and so forth. And we want to connect our application to a database. This connection, many places they use as CN or CNN or connection or anything like that. It's like a bridge. The things that I'm telling you from now on, I mean, in this example, is not necessarily exactly what is happening, but imagine that CN or CNN is like a bridge between your database and your application. And then you need to bring the information of a specific table. You need to load it on a truck, right? Imagine that we have a truck here, and that truck is responsible to bring the table, the portion or the part of the data from that table, or sometimes query of several tables, into the application. We call it cursor. So if you have that kind of very much high level overview, it would be very beneficial. Guys, today, I prefer first, let's just run this part. If you want to have your database in your Google Drive, I have provided that for you as well. But to ease the job for today's session, because probably many people could receive error in that case, I just commented them. I leave them for the time that you want to try it at your convenience. And there are videos that they showed you, and they are just super easy. Just using directly this folder is gonna help us to have less possibility of errors. Look at this one. I created a connection that is the bridge to movie database, and you see there is no error. I say SQLite 3 that connection connects to that. If we have any username or password, we needed to define it in the connection. And then we are going to have that cursor. This is one way of saying it. The other way, which is more scientific version of what I told you, is this one that we are going to watch together. Okay, if you could, guys, run everything so far before this. If I run that connection.cursor, place it in C. If everything is fine, please type 3. Very simple. I don't know why you decided to uncomment this one, Alex. You uncommented that and you received error. I don't know why you uncommented that. Just have the comment and just use this one. This one instead. And please, for the rest of the problems, wait for the lab and talk to Mazia. It would be easier. Okay, guys, look at this one. Let's just watch this video. I mute myself while you're, oh, can't I have to?
There's a few different types of cursors. When you use databases, you've got SQLite cursors and database cursors. So it's
just one thing. Can you hear the YouTube that I shared? Yes or no? Okay, awesome.
Important to know the difference between them as well as understand what they're for. So what is a cursor? A cursor is a structure that allows us to traverse a result set. Very esoteric description there, maybe not all that helpful. Database cursors are a thing in databases, in RDBMSs, that we can use to tell the database that we want this result from the database or this amount of data, but we want to get that data one piece at a time. And so it allows us to, tell the database we want to get this table of data, but only give me the first 100 rows. And then we can ask it for the next 100 rows and so on. So it allows us to traverse the results, loading the results as we go along. SQLite cursors, though, are a different thing. In SQLite cursors, we load all the results, but they're there to sort of help us go over them a bit more easily. So this is essentially what a cursor looks like. This is a table that we've loaded using SQLite, and the cursor is the little arrow. So we can use the cursor to sort of go through the results 1 by 1 or 10 by 10, however we want, we can sort of go through them like that. Okay, so it's very important to distinguish between database cursors that are things in the RDBMS, which SQLite does not have, or at least we're not going to use them, that allow us to load results bit by bit so that we don't fetch the entire table, which could potentially be millions of rows at once from the database. So there's a difference between that and the SQLite cursor, which is only there to help our code navigate the results. It doesn't do anything to help us not have to load all the results at once. We're going to understand more about what this means later on when we learn more about database cursors, but for now, just bear with me on this one. So for SQLite cursors, they represent that arrow, that pointer that we saw a moment ago. They help us iterate over the results or go over them one by one. Therefore, using them in for loops like this sort of makes sense when you have a cursor. You create your cursor with connection.cursor. Then you use that cursor to execute a query such as select. And then you can use the cursor that has loaded that data in a for loop like this, and that gives you each row one by one. So essentially, you can think of this for loop as that arrow that is giving you each row or pointing to each row one at a time. So when we're doing something like this, a select and then an iteration, a cursor makes sense. It's sort of useful. We can iterate over the cursor. We don't have to, do anything else like build a list out of the results or anything like that. So that is interesting. But when we're not iterating over the cursor, such as if we try to do an insert, then SQLite cursors seem kind of pointless, right? Here in this code, we are creating our cursor, and then we're executing an insert, and we're never iterating over the cursor. So this arrow is really not pointing towards anything because an insert query doesn't even return anything useful to us. And so in this case, the cursor does seem a bit pointless. And some people suggest that this is really just a small problem in SQLite. This cursor shouldn't really exist in most cases. I believe that the reason why we use cursors for both selecting and inserting in SQLite is just for consistency, to make your code more consistent. Every query uses a cursor, and that's it. Otherwise, you'd need some queries using a cursor, some not using a cursor. It could be a bit confusing, especially for new coders. So this is just the way it's done in SQLite. However, you may have noticed earlier on in a previous presentation that we didn't use a cursor. And that's because when we do connection.execute, that creates a cursor for us, and that saves us some typing, and it makes a bit more sense when doing things like inserting. We've seen this earlier on. Here, for example, we're not creating a cursor with connection.cursor. We're just doing connection.execute, and SQLite behind the scenes automatically creates a cursor for us and executes the query using that cursor, but we don't have to do that ourselves. And again, it makes a bit more sense when doing things like create table or inserting data. You can create the cursor yourself, and I would normally recommend doing that so it's a bit clearer when you want to use the cursor. And when you don't want to use the cursor, I would normally recommend you do this so that it's a bit clearer that you're not getting a cursor that is not going to be used. All right, so I hope this helps understand what cursors are for and gives you a little bit of information. It's not going to be obvious until you start using them a bit more, but I hope this helps. And let's go and write some of this code in the next video. I'll see you there.
Okay, if it was almost clear for you and you got the general idea of having cursor, like you have a table, right? Cursor help you to say, okay, I want all of these to be loaded on the truck, or I want the first, or I want the first few or something like that. That's the whole idea of having cursor, right? Okay, if you got the general idea of that, please type 1. And we are going to work on the examples. Thank you. Eileen Adler. Okay, so let's go together into this part. And then here, simply, we have a table called movie, right? Remember, I created a connection to that movie database. I defined a cursor to connect, to bring that truck to the database DB. And now it's the time to say, let's have query. It could be ABC, reza, whatever, equal to. It's not a keyword. Then I say, hey, cursor, execute the query for me. And if by any mistake you say that, show me the movie list, it's going to tell you that, imagine like that. It's going to tell you the location of the truck. That's not the intention, right? You want to see what is inside the load of the truck. For doing that, you say for every row that you have in the movie list, please print the row. Does that make sense? Here it is going to show you, if you say movie list, the address of the table, but it doesn't show you the records. For doing that, you need to say, okay, show me the values. Does that make sense? So everybody, if you get the same result up to this point, please type 2. And for any error that you get. Please be patient for the lab. Okay, that's the flow. Just listen to the flow. One question: what is the problem that I run it again and it shows nothing? Huh? What? And if I just run from this one again, from the connection cursor, define the query, and then run it again, it's going to show you again. Why is so? And I run it again, shows nothing. Lovely. Excellent. I'm going to elaborate on that. So one of our friends already mentioned that you have already gone through everything and the pointer is at the end. And there is one more thing. Guys, whenever you have a cursor, whenever you have a truck, and whenever you are done with the truck, you have to lock your car, right? Your truck. You shouldn't leave the key on the truck. Somebody should abuse it. Exactly, that's the case that could happen. You should lock it. You should close the cursor, right? Close the connection to the cursor. Okay, we are going to see that in no time. Just I wanted to give you a heads up. Let's go to the next part. What if we say select names from SQLite master? Guys, what is the result telling us? Do we have any table? I just remember we had movie and category. How about this one? This one shows the name of the tables that we have in our database. So this is a kind of system table, not user-defined table. SQLite master is a system-defined table that if you say, show me the content, it shows you all the tables that you have there. Look at this one. Okay, let me just break it into. When I don't need that, let's just say my min is equal to input. What should I say? Please enter the minutes. Something like that. So don't forget to have a space, otherwise it's not gonna look very nice. And then my is okay. First thing first, let's just use the normal version. Here I say, show me the movies that their minutes are less than 90. And in that case, these are the movies like 83, 84, and 81. Does that make sense? If I just say 100, let's see what's gonna happen. I'm sorry. It's gonna show you more number of items here, correct? But what if you want to get the value from the user, and not just using a kind of a static formula? So that's how we can do it. Say my name, and it's gonna tell you, okay, what's it? This time again, I'm gonna say 100. And then if I run this, it's going to, my apologies, it's going to be Control X. I just misplaced this one. It should be here. My bad. My name. So if I just say that, this time it's going to show us the rows that they have less than 100, the same results here. My apologies again. So you are going to have question mark there and my name would be. So this is the simplest way of connecting an application and asking from users, and it's going to pass that number into here. And you might say, why we have comma there? Because there is a chance that you check 2 or more different variables here. So we already have one ready for the next. This is not the greatest, but the one who is already the one who has written this code considered we need to have comma, even if we have just only one pointer. If you just get rid of that comma, it's going to give you error, as you can see here. So definitely you need to have comma here. Not the best way, but that is how they have defined it. Does that make sense? Okay. In the next one, you see we have 2 parameters. One is the minute, which is 90 here, and the ID that we set equal to 5. Let's see what is going to happen here. It's going to show you just one row, that the ID is equal to 5. What if I say less than or equal 5? Let's see if it is going to change anything for us. Now we have IDs that are less than or equal 5, and the number of minutes are less than 90. Thank you, Alexis. Yeah. Okay, guys, if you got everything so far the way that I see it on my monitor, I don't expect that majority have the answer, but please, if that's the case, please type 1. Eileen, Fatima, Matthew, Samuel. Matthew, remember I told you I'm going to give you the package, so don't worry. That's why we have everything. Ali, Mo, Rod, Samuel. Okay, thank you very much. This time we say select star from movie. This is the correct version of when we define a cursor, right? And when we define that, okay, this is a query, execute the query for me means show everything, all the rows in the movie. Then you're going to say for every, guys, this is not a kind of reserved thing. It could be A, I'm sorry, here A. So just I change it to show you. After that, this is the best practice to say if connection means that if the connection is open, which is already open, please close it. So let's try this one. And it shows you exactly all the contents that you have in there. But now the question is how to close automatically the cursor object. For doing that, we need to say from the context library, import closing, and look what is going to happen. In that case, you can use with clause, and then in that case, everything is going to happen. All these things, all these steps are going to happen within the cursor. And you say with closing means that automatically after you are done with that, please close the cursor. Does that make sense? This is implicitly happened before when you left the cell and you went to the next part, right? But this is explicit way, correct way of doing so. Let's do it again. Okay? So we are going to say, define a cursor, call it C, and then have a query, fetch the result and place it in my query. And for every row, for A in my query, just please the row. Right? Okay. You remember the things that I said. So here you can say, what if I want to have the rows that the what do we call it? The movie ID is equal to 5. There is one difference here. Imagine that I have several values, like if I say less than or equal, guys, do you remember we had 5 different things, or here, because there's no limit for moving, we should have several results, but here it shows just one. The reason for that is we didn't say c.execute query, right? Only we said c execute query, and after that we said fetch the first line of the cursor, the arrow is there, and then bring it to movie and show me the content of that. What if instead of fetch one, I say fetch all? Just look at this. It's going to show you 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 records. Does that make sense? So what is the use of that? Sometimes you have a data set, a table that contains millions of records, and you just want to see if you can fetch one. You don't want to waste your bandwidth of the network, the RAM, and all the resources, because you just want to see if it works and to have a taste of just one row of the whole data set that you can fetch from the table. Use fetch one. Let's change it to fetch one again. Right? And as you see here, what if, okay, I'm going to just bring it back to what it was before. And I'm going to add one more thing here. I say x is equal to input enter the minutes. And we say here x. And in that case, I'm going to say, oh, it's not the minutes, it's forget about, sorry, my bad. And if I say 5, it's going to give me exactly the same result. It should be enter the ID, that kind of thing, right? Okay. Sorry, I have stolen your break, but we are gonna finish it sooner. My intention is making sure that we can complete the current file, which is quite lengthy. Hopefully we are gonna finish it the way that I can compensate that 10 minutes that I have already taken from your break. The next part is look at this one, and this is important. You need to know the row number. You remember if I open give me a second, please. Okay. If you look at here, we should remember the first column belongs to the index number 0 is movie ID, index number 1 is category, index number 2 is the name, index number 3 is the year, and index number 4 is the minute. So we need to remember the indices. The question is it possible to have a way that I can simply use name, for instance here, name, year, and movie. If you just change them to year or these kind of things, for instance, this one, name, you're going to see it shows you error, right? Okay, so is there any way that we can just change them to other things? We are going to see in a few seconds, but please bear with me. Here I say, let's define a cursor to show all the content. And then the difference between these two would be, I say, for row in movie list that I have already fetched here, I say for every single row, print that, and after that, when you finished the connection, close it. But the good thing about the second one, which is the better practice compared to this one, is I use exactly the same number of things, except that I said with closing, and you don't need to say if connection then close. It's going to automatically take care of closing, and it gives you the same result. Nicer and neater way of writing. Okay. The next thing is, instead of using, that's another improvement that we are going to see. We are going to execute the query by fetching everything over there. And we are going to say, fetch all that we have in the movie, and for every row in the query that we had, and then print it. What happens, we already executed that, so everything is inside that C. We fetch everything if it has 101 million. And we are going to go through, it's like the cursor, you remember the video that we watched together, the YouTube video. It's going to go through every single row one at a time and show and print you the contents. Right? Okay. So the question for you is, I want to show just the name of the movie and use that kind of arrow thing. This is, guys, like arrow, whatever. And then say the year of the product. Right? So in that case, I'm going to say, hey, go to the row, to the movie list that we executed. Here is the connection, and show me column number index 2 is the third column and fourth column. By running that, it shows like that. And now it's the time, look at this one. Now it's the time that I simply want to use the name of the columns. But before anything, guys, remember, before we could simply say number 2, number 3, which we are going to see after running this. Still, we can do that. But we are not going to be able to run this format anymore. We have to mention the column names. Look at this. If I say run the, let me just run it before running that. Still it works, you see that? But the problem of this library is, if I run that and I say, we need to access the column names. If I run it again, you see it's going to show me a block of the record address, not the content of it. If you want to, okay, let me just show the thing here. I just fetched 1, which the ID is equal to 5. Now look at the result. It's going to tell me in the name column, we have Toy Story. In the year column, we have 1995. And in the minutes column, we have 81. Does that make sense? And you can simply say, show me those that the category ID is equal to 1, and guess what? It's going just to show you 1 row, because here we said fetch 1 and not fetch all. What if I say, show me fetch all, right? And it's going to show me all the what do we call it? Records that they have the category ID equal to 1, which is animation. let me ask you something. Is it possible that I say row, before I run the code, please tell me, is it possible to have this one too? What do you think? If yes, please type yes. Why? If no, please type N. Okay, to the interest of time, let me just show you. As you see, we have that. And what should I do? What should I do? If you can, I'm not going to take your time. You can just simply use something like this to concatenate, because the next one is going to be integer. If I say, for instance, plus, what do we call it? I'm sorry. If you say plus, I say, what do we call it? This one, and then plus, it's not gonna work. And the reason for that is, the row should be converted into string. So you need to say str. And then now it's going to work like that. Does that make sense? Okay, guys, if you got the idea of what we are doing here so far, would you please type 5? I'm not saying we could finish everything correctly and we got the result for everything. If the general, okay, lovely, thank you very much. And now I say for row in movies, print the name. You can see that I can just get the name part. And if I say no, show me the entire row, you know why. This is going to show you the address of each row. That is the problem that we have if you just run that library. That's the pitfall that we have. How to fetch all? This is something that we have gone through several times. So I said, what if I see, show me the content where the minutes is less than 90 minutes. And, here I can just simply say movie. Yeah, this is another way of, it's going to typecast it automatically. I don't need to. If it was plus, I needed to typecast it to str. Otherwise, now it doesn't need that. And then this is another way of showing for every movie in movies, right? We already got that query a few seconds ago. So fetch all of them. Show the name and the bar sign and year and the minutes. So it's going to show you like that. We have 2 of these guys. And imagine that I define something like Cinema Paradiso, year 1988, and the minutes and the category ID, right? And then I say, insert into movie to name, year, and minutes and category ID. Insert all of them, we use question marks. What we do is, we say, let's have that SQL. It could be X, Y, Z. It's just SQL insert a method that we use. And pass the name, the year, minutes, and category ID, respectively, to the movie table. And look at this part. Whenever we are done with this, after the insertion, we say CNN commit. Sometimes you might say that, Reza, it worked without having commit. Don't take any risk whenever you do any DML or data manipulation. And definitely commit it if you intend to do so. If you leave the database, if you close it randomly, it's going to commit, but this is not the best practice. Okay. So after committing, and now if I say, okay, show me the result, I just select everything from the movie and look, Cinema Paradiso is the last one that we have already add. Now by saying this, we get to with closing the cursor, best practice. We say select the star from the movie. And this time we say execute it and place it into my movie, right? You don't need to say execute and then fetch all. It's gonna happen in one line technically, right? And then you say for every row in movie, my movies, then just print the, what do we call it, row number 2. Okay, if you paid attention, you can just answer this question easily. Is it going to give me the same answer if I just use name? If yes, please type 1. If no, please type 2. It's not a trick question. It's a simple question. I repeat my question. Instead of 2, which is index number 2, third column, if I say the name of the column after inserting that library, is it going to give me the same result? Let me just run it. Yes. So thank you, Matthew. It works the same way. What if I want to change the minutes of ID number 4 from whatever it is into, what do we call it? 94. Before anything, let me first show you what is the initial value for ID number 4. It is 84. And now I say ID for minutes number 94. Update the movie, set the minutes into 94, where the movie ID is what? Is 4, right? Look, before I add it, here still it is 84. I run that and I say, now show me the result. It changed into 94 here. Okay. So what if I say, look here, we have ID number 12, which is Hotel Rwanda, and then I want to delete that row, right? I'm gonna delete Hotel Rwanda, and then if I run the query again, tell me all the rows, you see there is no sign of row number 12 here, right? And by saying that, actually, we have finished the content that we expected for today. So Maziar is going to take care of the questions and errors that you are going to see. My apologies that it's not possible for me to answer the questions one at a time. I tried my best to simply look at the issues that you showed me. If I felt that it needs prior knowledge and go through the codes before that, I didn't bother you by asking you to send it again, because I'm sure that first you can just do it at your convenience if you have no stress of just following at the same time with me. And the better option is always having less number of participants in lab classes, and ask Maziar to help you for such things. Before I go, my pleasure, before I go any further, I just want to quickly tell you one thing, and that would be the last. In today's content, I have sent you this file for those friends that they joined me later. I send you again this zip file, and I tell you the story. The first thing is, I mentioned in this set of slides how to install SQLite. And then we went through some steps to create one database from the scratch by creating some tables. The tables were movie and category. And after that, we populated some records, added some records using insert command. And after that, we use Colab, to just, to follow the instructions from here. There are some tutorials that I have selected for you. If you have time, please watch them. And technically, after that, you should have an environment like this. I just dragged and dropped this movie into this part. If you've seen all-in-one, unfortunately, it has some prefixes, like you see here, it is week number 9, that movie kind of thing. But the reality is that part belongs to whatchamacallit, because I wanted to have a kind of sequence for all of the content. Sorry. No, it is week number 10, movie DB, something like that. And by saying that, we just went through all those commands that we have done definitely in database course. But this is just a quick review for that. I would be thankful if you go to the course and please confirm that if you go to the assessment and the quizzes, would you please confirm that you can see the quiz number 7 accessible for you? If that is the case, please type 1. So everybody can see that. Thank you very much. Once again, I appreciate your presence, and my apologies if I couldn't talk with my normal voice. Actually, I canceled all in-person classes for tomorrow. I converted my other course to. We always have the quiz, every week we have. So that is why I hope that it didn't impact your the class performance. Thank you very much. Take care of yourself. I stop recording and see you next week. Bye.